pretty song, but something has jumped in and kept that melodic energy, if you will, going. This is very deep. Like, there's a lot of dimension to the songwriting here, a lot of layers, very stimulating listen. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lone University. Okay, my mind's a little blown right now. This is really cool. I've never heard of this band before, but I have heard of Nate Mendel, bass player for the Foo Fighters, and I was honestly under the impression he just started with the Foo Fighters from day one. So I'm really intrigued to hear what he was doing before with Sunny Day Real Estate. And that's such a killer band name. I don't know, it just rolls off the tongue so nicely. Sunny Day Real Estate. Anyway, it's my first time hearing them today with their track 7, which is from their debut album titled Diary, released in 1994. And this album is considered by many a defining emo album of the second wave and a key in development of its subgenre Midwest emo. It also has been called the missing link between post-hardcore and the nascent emo genre. I don't really know much about emo yet, but I guess it has multiple waves too. Without further ado, here is 7 from Sunny Day Real Estate. Sunny Day Real Estate. Nice. This reminds me of so many different bands. And I love the sound. It almost has this, I've read this post-hardcore label here in the intro, in the bio, and, I try not to be primed by those types of labels, but I hear this like a rocket about to take off, just idling, like some energy that just needs to release in the guitar parts. There's a little bit of that dissonance kind of. Almost reminds me of the leads in a band like The Fall of Troy. Anybody remember that band? I've been thinking about them a lot lately. I've been thinking about revisiting one of their tracks on the channel, but they had those leads that just kind of made you on edge, but they were still pretty. They weren't like Slayer in their dissonance. And this has a bit of heavy lower tuned edge. Maybe they're in drop D, but the bass is also doing a lot of nice moving. And I wouldn't say this is my complaint about Foo Fighters, but there's not a ton of standout bass moments. They just write amazing songs. That's totally okay. And it's probably why I haven't really done them on the channel. So if Nate was really doing some of this cool, moving, melodic stuff beforehand, I just really love to see that. He has that mode in him. I'm going to go back to the beginning. A lot of twists and turns. It almost felt like the tempo increased. And I might mess with my tone here. It's a little muted from last week's Grateful Dead video, or I should say earlier this week. So I'm going to put the overdrive and all that back on. And maybe just take a little of the drive out. It's not super, super, super gnarly tone. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Here in D minor. Yeah. Just the way that low drop D string is being hit has some of that, just there's a bit more heaviness to it. I like it. It sets up what might come later. I'm very curious. I like how that bass line's almost cut from the same cloth melodically as that vocal melody. The chord progression is D minor, goes up to the F major, down to B flat, and it was doing an Andalusian cadence earlier. The sounded a bit like that. It's a bit different here for the verse. So bass is riding up here. So you have that B flat chord. Nate's up here playing the 7. Kind of doing that sound, obviously in a lower register. So it gives a bit of rub, good leading tones and everything. And for some reason, it just gelled nicely with the vocals. I love that part. Okay, it almost sounds like the guitar lead is coming in here and doing what the bass part was earlier. There's a lot of trading who's leading with these little secondary melodies. And obviously the vocal melody is the focal point as usual, but right beneath it is always something in the bass or the guitar part. You know, granted the vocals have cut out here, but something has jumped in and kept that melodic energy, if you will, going. This is very deep. Like there's a lot of dimension to the songwriting here, a lot of layers, very stimulating listen if I'm just thinking about all the things happening under the vocals. I like that thing. A tasty bass thing. I have to say these vocals don't really remind me of, you know, the style I think of when I think of emo. This reminds me of like just a lot of other singers that have a bit more depth to their voice, a little more gruffness, I suppose. It's not super shrill and nasally. Again, I commented on the Newfound Glory video because that was one of the first bands I've done on the channel with that, what I think of as emo vocals. I actually like that sound. A lot of people say those vocalists sound like nails on the chalkboard, so I tend to gravitate toward vocalists who are just different, distinct. So I really like these. Nice and melodic. I like the dynamics, the breathiness, and man, Nate's back there just cooking on some fills. I might as well go ahead and tune down to drop D. There we go. Okay, back here. Yeah, a little better. Okay. I see him back there using a pick, and it sounds like this song might be a touch out of 440. Maybe I am. Shit. My D was going a little sharp. Okay, it makes me think it's going to get really heavy now. We've had those little glimpses peek through the... Now we had to... Got a little metal for a second. I feel like they're going to give it to me in the end. Yeah. Okay, little soft bridge. You know, something really so simple and cool about it just going to like a crayoned version. I mean, I know this was the early 90s, but I mean, there was a lot of simplicity. It wasn't all just CGI and just, overstimulating videos. Music videos have changed a lot. Sometimes when you go back and watch these early music videos, you thought, hey, this is the one effect we can do with the budget we have or the constraints of technology. And when you watch them today, it's like, man, there was just something really simple about an effect like this. Like, it doesn't really have anything to do with the song necessarily, but it just makes for a great visual aid. And I talk a lot about my fondness of 90s music videos. Just something really endearing about them. I miss it. This part right here. Yeah, it's really neat. Still doing those same bass fills. Man, that's a great little pre-chorus lead in there. Goes up to that G. Yeah, they've been going to this G minor, which is just so nice. It's very rare, but they touch on it here in this little transition too. Yeah, that one. All right, here's that big buildup I love. Sounded like a new fill there. So dedica 3-3-2 thing. Dun, dun. Nope. Dun. Yeah. One thing I noticed too, and I know this is a music video, but I see Nate back there picking kind of over here. Way up close to the fretboard, neck pickup. A lot of bass players you see are going for that snappy, punchy attack, picking down here. You get a lot softer of a tone, obviously. I talk about this a lot. But when a pick player does it, it almost chameleons to be a fingerstyle tone. And I honestly thought maybe he was using fingers back then. This is a softer tone, but you can kind of get that smoothness, especially in the context of a mix. So you don't see players playing up here with a pick a lot. Again, I know it's a music video, but every now and then I'll see a player do that. It's a smoother option. Yeah, you can see it right there. It's a really pretty song. Well, that song gave me just a glimpse of that heavier styling, but maybe it would have been too much considering this almost had a somber beauty to the vocal melodies, and I didn't really get much of the lyrics, but a lot of depth melodically. But I was just hoping maybe it would end with like that thing and then go. Just something kind of take it out on the note they've, teased me with the whole song. Nonetheless, cool band. And I think the coolest thing about, I'm kind of learning about the Foo Fighters members is that so many of them played in punk bands. And I have yet to check out Pat Smear and the Germs. I've always heard that name. I get requests for them every now and then, but I honestly, again, thought Nate just started with Foo Fighters and rode off into the sunset for 30 years. I had really no idea what he did before. So this is a cool dot to connect for me musically. And anytime an album comes out in the early 90s that's punk or rock, I'm understanding how analogous and parallel it is to the grunge era, and everything just had its place. So this is really interesting. Again, dot to connect musically for me. Sunny Day Real Estate, very memorable band name, great song. Reminds me of so many bands I like. And if there's any other great Nate bass lines in their catalog, please let me know. I'd love to come back to them. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to support the channel further, please come find us on Patreon. We do full albums like this every single month. And I have bass lessons, music theory lessons, and a thriving community of awesome people. Come hang out with us. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like the video, you're subscribed to the channel. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.